question for you. So some people will say, look, if you're really going to do the whistleblower stuff, why don't you go after both sides? Because at least Sacha Baron Cohen will go and expose, maybe 10% of people he exposes is the opposing side. He did something with Bernie Sanders, his own side. Mm-hmm. I think he went after Bernie. I don't know. He did something with Bernie.
I mean, he tends to go after, especially with the last thing he did.
There's no question about it with Rudy, Hotel, all that stuff. Yes. This is, to those who ask that question, is this a pure crusade you have against the left, or is anybody that does uses their power against people to manipulate?
I think we need to define these things. When we say side, what do we mean? When we say left, I'm not even sure what that means anymore, because I have the FBI working with the New York Times. Is that left wing? Let's define reality. There's only one reality. There's only one truth. Veritas does 24 frames per second, or now on the iPhone with the high definition, it's 65, I don't know how many frames. Truth at 24 frames per second. There's only one reality. There's only one truth. Our medium is to film things, film people talking. And oftentimes we don't film, and you see their lips moving. So that happened. It's an event. Over time, you'll see us do everything. We just did a video on Alex Stovall, who's a Republican in Arizona. He's a Republican running for Congress. And he said one thing in private and another thing in public. He contradicted himself, and we exposed it. And we were not condemned by the right. In fact, that reaction to that story, it seemed like people on the right appreciated it even more, because they didn't want people on their side, when I say right, Republican Party, if that's even right wing. So I'm not sure there he is. Project Veritas Action exposes flip-flopping Arizona congressional candidate. This was a guy who said privately that there wasn't enough fraud to overturn the election, and publicly that there was. So I'm not saying he was wrong by saying privately what he said. It was the fact that he contradicted himself.
But that would still be seen as one side. That would. I mean, if he's against fraud for election, and then he says it, that is against the idea of many people on the right, mm-hmm. however many you want to say, that thought the election was a fraud. So for him to flip that, I don't necessarily think I put him as a person who would essentially be on the right to defend some of the philosophies. You got to keep in mind, this is a show where we defend capitalism. This is a show about, a person who escaped Iran to go to Germany. I lived at a refugee camp. I'm a kid who grew up in a communist family, in an imperialist family. Mother's side, they were all communists. Dad's side were imperialists. But it's more strong to say, listen, here's what we're doing. We're covering up the guys on the opposite side. I'm not a comedian. I'm not Sacha Baron Cohen. Here's what we're doing. This is what we stand for. This is where we're going. But at the same time, there is a big audience out there that will say you target mainly one side.
And you know what? They're going to say that until they stop saying it. Because we have people coming to us now, like I say, the DARPA, the Marine Corps major who wrote.
Which, by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if you're going up against the government, that's what you stand for.
Well, here's two quick responses. Here's the irony of them saying I go after the left by exposing CNN. There's an admission there. Are you saying that CNN is left? Are you saying the New York Times is left? Is the FBI left? Is our Federal Bureau of Investigation left? Are our pharmaceutical companies left? Is this guy left? So at a certain point, that argument it's over. What's going to happen? There's an asymptote on to borrow a mathematical analogy. That asymptote will approach, zero, and people are going to come to us where they can't go anywhere else. CNN, the network CNN gives a deliberate false impression daily. They say that 2 + 2 = 5. We got a guy at CNN saying, quote, "We're propaganda," the control room director. He said, "We're propaganda," and he's talking about the death numbers on the screen. His name was Chester, Charlie Chester, Chester. This is probably one of the biggest investigations we ever did. I was most proud of this one. And he goes, "Why can't it be higher? We need the deaths to be higher. More people from COVID need to die, so we have higher death numbers, higher death." This is what this guy is saying. I didn't say it. He's saying it. You can see his lips moving. He's being secretly recorded at a bar. So these networks, there it is, quote, "If it wasn't for CNN, I don't know Trump would have gotten voted out." Now, I did not entrap him. We did not tell him to say these things. We asked questions. I did not ask leading questions. Our undercover people said, "Tell us about what your network is like." We're propaganda. We get Trump out. So if that's, my question is a rhetorical one. Why won't the people at CNN say that publicly?
Say what? Say the fact that...
Quote, if it wasn't for CNN, Trump wouldn't have gotten voted out. Quote, we're propaganda. Quote, why won't the death numbers be higher? There's nothing, by the way, I'm not making a moral judgment about that.
Right.
And I won't. That's something about me that's different than all the other journalists you see on TV.
So I'm
not making, my only judgment is this. My only rule is this. Don't say something privately, if you are a powerful man like that you're not willing to say publicly.
Okay, so we both know that happens in your organization, that happens in our organization, that happens in every media, every sports team, every business, every company. There's going to be certain things you're going to talk about aspirational behind closed doors where, for example, Tom Brady, every time they interview him after he wins again, this is what Tom Brady will say. You know, we have to respect those guys on the other side. We have tremendous respect for the coaches.
Right.
You know, Jimmy G and the kicker for San Francisco. What's the kicker's name? Do you know who I'm talking about? The kicker's
Gould?
Big Gould. Yeah. You know, we respect the guys on the other side. The Green Bay Packers have a world-class organization. And then you see the clip that they recorded on the Packers.
Yeah.
Did you see that one part? So listen, who doesn't do it? I think everybody does it partly on the other side because to compete at that level, especially media, you have an enemy. CNN's enemy is Fox. Fox's enemy is mainstream media. MSNBC has an enemy. Everybody's got an enemy. And quite frankly, everybody's mainstream media's enemy right now is Joe Rogan, who is kicking everyone's ass. So there is an enemy in every place. So if you enjoyed this little short segment from the podcast that we did, here's another short segment to watch. Or if you want to see the entire podcast, click over here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.